The end of Parshat Behar, the last pasuk, is a pasuk that we also find in Parshat Kedoshim as well. The Torah tells us that Shabsosai tishmaru, that Mikdashi tira'u, ani Hashem. My Shabbos you shall observe, my sanctuary shall you revere, I am Hashem. And as the Sforno notes in source number 2, and my sanctuary shall you revere, after the destruction of the temple, this commandment applies to the synagogues and study halls that in exile take the place of the sanctuary. I'd like to try to work on, with Hashem's help today, is to try to have an understanding of the dynamics of the pasuk in two ways. The first is to understand the juxtaposition. And again, this pasuk is repeated twice, so obviously the juxtaposition is crucial between Shabbos and the Mikdash, that they're linked together. And I'd like to look at it in 3 different levels, perhaps some insights in what ways and what dynamics do we link Shabbos and the Mikdash together. And then I'd like to have a deeper understanding of practically today, when we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, when we don't have a temple, what are some, it's not a halachic shir, but some of the hashkafic aspects of Umikdashi Tirau. How do we today, after we've gone through what it means to have Yiras HaMikdash, awe of the temple, how can we take some of these ideas and transport them into the way we relate to our study halls and to our synagogues as well, that we have a deeper understanding of the way we approach these places of worship and of service. The structure that I'd like to use today is that of a very famous Mamar Chazal. Our rabbis tell us that each one of the avos had an experience at the place of the Mikdash, at the place of the temple, on the Temple Mount. And each one, after their experience, called this place by a different name. Avram Avinu had the experience of the Akedah, of the binding of Isaac. And he referred to it on this day, it will be called Behar Hashem Yera'eh. It will be referred to as a har, as a mountain. Yitzchak Avinu went lasuach basadeh, and our rabbis explain he went to David in the field. That was none other than Maris HaMachpelah. Yitzchak Avinu compares the Beis HaMikdash to a field. And Yaakov Avinu, when he has a dream of the ladder, with the angels ascending and descending the ladder, he says, Ein zekim beit Elokim v'zeh shar shamayim. This must be the house of God. Mountain, field, and house. 3 different terms for the mountain of God. 3 different terms for the place where the Beis HaMikdash, the temple, is found. And obviously, as the rabbis explain, these are 3 different ways that we can approach aspects of holiness, aspects of Kedusha. I'd like us to parallel our 3 levels, to the first level being compared to a mountain, the second to a field, and the third to a house. Let's begin with the first level of appreciating what Shabbos is about and appreciating what the Beis HaMikdash are about on the level similar to a mountain and a mountain climb. The Nesiva Shalom of Sloman Rebbe points out in source number 3 that it's fascinating that it says in the plural that Shabsosai tishmaru, you should observe my Sabbaths, in plural. And he asks, well, what is this a reference to? Why is it plural? And he notes that this is a reference to the 2 reasons that are given for the reason we keep Shabbos. In the first Luchos, in the first of the set of the 10 Commandments, we have source 3, Ki sheish yamim asa Hashem et hashamayim v'taretz, because in 6 days God created the heavens and the earth, and the end of the pasuk, Vayonach b'yom hashvi, and God rested on the 7th day. So the reason we keep Shabbos, according to the first Luchos, is to remind us of the creation and how God rested. In the second Luchos we have, and the arrow in 3, V'zacharta ki eved hayita be'eretz Mitzrayim. You should remember that you were a servant in Egypt and how Hashem redeemed us. These are 2 different reasons, and he explains they really parallel the 2 Luchos. The first Luchos, which were on a much higher level, relate to the experience of creation. The second Luchos, as we've spoken about, was on a lower level, relates to the Shabbos of redemption from Egypt. That reason. What does this mean on a symbolic level? So he explains that there's a very fascinating piece of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh in the second paragraph in 3, where the Orach Chaim HaKadosh explains on the pasuk Ki sheishet yamim asa Hashem et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Hashem created the world in 6 days. That the whole world is here for only 6 days. And after the 6 days, the world should really return to a state of tohu vavohu, to a state of nothingness. And then Hashem created the Shabbos, and the Shabbos is the ability that is mashpia nefesh chadasha b'bria litkayim od shisha yamim. Shabbos enables the week to now be able to be here for another 6 days. And then it should be destroyed. Shabbos comes along and gives it that soul to be around for another 6 days. Which means we have a kach b'chol shavua. When the 6 days are over, there's the Tchadshus Habriya, there's a renewal of creation through Shabbos, which gives Koach Babriya, which gives the strength in the creation to be able to be around for another 6 days.